tell me about the initiative that doesn't make California a country, but it says, hey, why can't we ask our government to look into this? Why is it a good idea to have our California government look into how possibly we could be more independent and push back on more freedom, a more federal regulation? Why is that a reasonable idea? Why now?
Yeah. Well, what Devante said, the fears from this next administration, Biden-Harris administration, they're not going to reduce anything about the police shootings here in the state of California or the abuses of authority from the federal government and their waste of federal funding that comes from the state of California. So we don't want our money wastefully spent by this administration is to come. And if anything, we want to have economic independence. You know, we're the fifth largest economy in the world, but like he said, we have a extremely large homeless population. You know, we have a quality of life that's less than some of the states that we're funding, where our money is going a lot further in making their quality of life better. So if we want to improve the quality of life of the people here in the state of California, reduce the cost of living, put the money that they worked so hard for back in their pocket, then we're going to have to say enough is enough and draw the line in the sand. I believe that's what Calexit does. And if more people knew about it and about what it, the opportunity that it creates, as far as us creating general wealth for every person in the state of California, I think we all are striving for that. We want to be able to make sure that the money that we're working for actually is able to sustain us and sustain our children and our children's children if possible. And we shouldn't be prohibited from doing so. That's what our government does right now. That's what it's been allowed to do with our complacency, with us not demanding better. So again, with Calexit, it protects us as a state, as people of the state of California, to say we don't want any of what the federal government has to do, their regulations, their taxation. We don't want any of their control over what happens here with the state of California. And it also allows us to have more or place more accountability on our state representatives, you know, especially the governor, since whoever the governor may be would now be the now president of the state. So it's a opportunity for us to again make sure that our state representatives are upholding California values and what we, the people of the state, are actually demanding, and of course create that dynamic where we're again protecting ourselves from anything Washington does from here on out, whether it's Biden that stays or Biden that takes over the office or Trump staying in office.
You get my nerves.
Yeah, either one of them.
I've heard both of you talk about California being the fifth largest economy, and one of the things that always made me interested in Calexit was I was tired of seeing California politicians say, don't blame me, it's so complex, there's all these rules, there's all these regulations, I tried, vote for me again. And I thought, well, if there's no federal regulations, then people in Sacramento have no one to blame but themselves.
Exactly.
So there we are, as picking up from Stevante, able to hold them to a higher level of account, right? Because if I go, it's your fault, and they go, it's not me, it's this other dude 12,000 miles away and me, and it's like, no, he's gone.
Exactly.
Just you. I'm looking at just you, and
Right.
You don't get to blame anybody. Would that provide a better level of accountability, in your opinion? For
Absolutely, because that's someone more direct that you're able to say you're responsible for the actions that you've had in this. It's just like working for an employer. The employer isn't going to look at you and say, you did this, or you're not going to pass on that responsibility to someone else. The employer is going to look at you and hold you responsible for whatever bad job that you do or good job. So if you want to be rewarded, that's you being able to get reelected, especially for some of these senators like Kamala Harris. Is you being rewarded with continuing to be a public representative. But for those that had term limits, like mayors and governors, that's because you're held on a higher standard. And if you're going to be taking that position, that role in our society, in our community, then you should be definitely striving to be that representative that every other city representative is set as an example for.
Speak on it.
You know, we don't see that at all.
Not on one bit.
We don't have any accountability by our other elected officials to hold themselves accountable.
That part.
And as long as we rely on them to, we're not going to see any changes at all.
Speak on it.
So you both, I think what I'm hearing is Sacramento politicians don't have anybody to blame but themselves.
Absolutely.
Suddenly, Sacramento politicians are going to be held at least to a significantly higher level of accountability.
Indeed.
Doesn't make everything perfect, but a lot harder for them to play games if they can't go, well, the federal government tied my hands, I can't fix anything.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And Sacramento politicians have failed. Let me tell you about Sacramento politicians. Starting with the Sacramento politicians. Now, let me get this right. Okay, so the state of politics here in Sacramento, you're seeing a lot of people leave office and a lot of new people come in because people are starting to notice the failures. So, for instance, Katie Venezuela is a lady who just won a seat here in District, I want to say 4. She beat Steve Hansen anyways. And Steve Hansen, career politician, chairman, I believe, of Sacramento Regional Transit, or public transportation system. Okay. And she's just an activist, just an organizer. Came in her first roundabout and beat him. Shauna Lowley, another guy from District 2. Alan Warren was the guy who he was facing, who was the now council member of District 2. Former MLB player, successful businessman, developer. This guy bought the land of a resource center and then built the building on top of the land that he bought for the resource center. That's the Sacramento Urban League. And Sean Lowley comes in here running a small business, and he just beat Alan Warren for his first time. These are people who have never served in not one seat ever. Mm-hmm. Don't know. To a person who studied Robert's rules or politics in general, or took in political science classes, you would say these people don't know jack shit about shit. Okay. And you would say anybody vote for them is stupid as hell. Because you're going to vote for somebody that don't know how to read, but who don't know how to do nothing that we expect for them to do. Okay. Because they haven't taken that curriculum.
Right.
You see?
Right.
But America is saying, no, we sick of that shit. Obviously, that curriculum ain't been working.
Right.
That's why we say we need curriculum reform and the promotion of intellectual independence. Mm-hmm. Because obviously, the way that you've been going, and we're going to reinvent this wheel, goddammit. Yeah. That's why I'm going to run for office.
You should.
Oh, I am.
You should.
And ain't nobody going, you're not going, you see, I'm going to fight for the people the way I want to fight for the people. Yeah. And I think politicians need to listen more to the people. Mm-hmm. Somehow we forgot about listening to the people. I don't know where the fuck that came from.
Yeah.
Like when did that start? That started after Jimmy Carter? Had to. Because Jimmy Carter listened to the people.
You're saying you've seen a lot of Californians running.
Yeah.
Previous experience.
Yeah.
I think Californians are willing to embrace those kind of politicians because they might bring real change and they have accountability.
Californians are embracing so many politicians who are not usual politicians because okay. I feel like they can hold them accountable. They feel like they can go to Sean Lowley's store and be like, hey, dude, I don't like the way you're doing this over there. They feel like they can go to that organizer, Katie, and be like, hey, girl, I know you. Don't do that. Don't fuck up there. They feel like it's easier to hold them accountable than when they feel like you're so distant from these career politicians. You know what I mean? You don't know. People don't know. You see, when it comes to accountability, people are saying accountability is starting to become a talking point. because people are saying accountability, but not telling you how to hold people accountable.
Right.
You know, and when you have no connection, you have no resources, it's hard to hold somebody accountable. You know, we always say it's not about what you know,
Who you know.
right? Because who you know can get you out of jail.
Do you agree that
Or
And keep you from
away
going.
these Sacramento politicians and people in the assembly, if they didn't have someone bigger to blame, it would be easier to hold them to accountable?
Well, Measure A failed. The strong mayor proposal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Darrell Steinberg failed. That he put a proposal out. Measure U passed, and I'm a tax commissioner for Measure U.
Okay.
And that's why libertarians sometimes are like, how are you against taxes but a tax commissioner? I'm a civil libertarian.
Okay.
And, you know, so we got a job to do. But, you know, Measure U was supposed to generate funds, $95 million, towards inclusive economic development.
Okay.
And a lot of that's supposed to go to youth and resources. And when we seen the first batch of that Measure U fund, $10 million to be exact, go to police, and then police buy a new armored tank vehicle, it was just like a slap in the face, you know? So when the mayor came out with that Measure A proposal, the strong mayor proposal, which would give him power to override the city council and whatnot, we rejected that. How dare you not even live up to the first promise and then make another promise? Mm-hmm. It's like scratch a lie, catch a thief. It's like, you know, you're a piece of shit. We know it. Right. Okay, I didn't run for mayor because when I ran for mayor, the city of Sacramento treated me like dog shit. When I said I was running for mayor, how dare him? He crazy. He don't know shit. That's why a lot of people who really want to run for office don't run because the community puts them down, drags their name, say you can't do it. You didn't do this. Don't nobody know the community more than me because I live in it.
Yep. Yeah.
And you gonna tell me I'm not qualified?
Exactly.
That's a good point.
If anybody know your problems, dumbass, it's me. I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like struggling to pay the bills. They haven't felt that pain since motherfucking 20 years ago. And they really didn't feel it because they're living off mommy and daddy. Checkmate, bitch. You know what I mean?
Or taxpayers.
Or taxpayers. Or you know what? A lot of people don't talk about it. Or they were hiding behind their nonprofits. Mm-hmm. A lot of people hide behind, you know, a lot of people out there are poverty pimps. Yep. They use these nonprofits to get money from people, and then they spend that money on their lavish, luxurious lifestyles. And a lot of these people, you do research. A lot of these big nonprofits have failed the people too. Do your research on the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.